Okay, for anybody who happened to be on a few minutes ago, so sorry. Few minutes, moments, whatever. I
Dropped the phone?
Yeah, I'm not very good at this. Anyway, so bringing Josh on again. He's really looking forward to it. He has been bugging me all week long about going live with me. Just kidding. He hates this.
Hate's a strong word.
Well, anyway, so I wanted to bring him on because this past week I've talked a couple times about like being crunchy. I've asked a lot of my friends like what natural minded things that they do, and then I posted about our Berkey. You saw that post, right? Mm-hmm. And the Berkey, actually, it wasn't even my idea. That was your idea. You're the one who found the Berkey. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about like my question to you is, when do you feel like we started like our natural crunchy minded journey? Like, do you remember a moment where you're like, awesome, we're now insane?
I don't know if we is the right term. It's mainly you.
Exactly. So at what point were you like, I'm in trouble? Do you know?
Well, it wasn't until we started having kids, mainly our first kid. It came down to Corbin, when he was still a baby, he had eczema, and we took him to the doctor, and without asking any questions, they're like, well, here's some steroid cream, and we weren't very comfortable with that, and so you decided to venture out and seek out a naturopath, and the naturopath was able to determine through lots and lots of questions that it was cow's milk being transferred to him through your breast milk, and we were able to take care of his eczema that way. And so I think that was, to me, that's what I remember as the beginning of it, and it just kind of progressed from there. And for me, it's probably been a different journey, mainly because, as I said, it's mostly been you. Me, the idea of crunchy hippie stuff. Hippie stuff has been a little more, not rude. It's been a little more of an adjustment for me because, I don't know, I've always had a mentality of the idea that hippie is more of a, dreadlocks, patchouli, incense type of mentality, which I'm not knocking that. People are free to do their thing. But 15 years ago, the idea of doing things naturally, and
kind of a negative.
Yeah, there was a lot more negative vibe towards it. And when I say naturally, it's things like breastfeeding. Breastfeeding was, when we first started having children, and we had our first kid, it was a huge challenge for Cindy, not simply because it was her first child and she's trying to figure out how to do it, but because at the time it was still not a very popular thing. It was coming out of an era of, it's something that you do in the privacy of, some far off room somewhere, maybe even in your home. And so coming out of that and seeing the advocacy develop over the years, it's helped me understand more so that, there are things that the female body is designed to do that's good and natural, and that's another word that's kind of been thrown around that 15 years ago was different too. And I've been mainly relying on her to, because there's so much information nowadays. That's the thing is we're inundated with tons of information to where we have to sift through what's legitimate and what's not. And so I've had to rely on her because simply I just don't have the time to do the research. And it's allowed us to make better decisions for our family. Probably one of the biggest ones that we did was cloth diapering. When she first brought up cloth diapering, all I could think of was, it seems kind of gross. You can take a regular diaper, fold it up, throw it away. But the idea of where we were at financially and at the time, that's a huge cost. It's a huge cost to a young family who's not the best off financially, and so we started cloth diapering, and it took a little getting used to of the concept. To where by the time we had our fifth and sixth kids, it was an everyday part of life. And the fact that we did have 6 kids, we probably saved an absolute fortune.
Probably thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I would guess, because we used some of the same diapers that we had with Corbin that we did even with the 6th, but we didn't cloth diaper her for very long.
Yeah,
her skin did not like it.
Yeah, and so that's the thing about doing things like that, is you have to adjust for each kid. And even just recently, I just shared with a friend about amber teasing necklaces, and we kind of had a good laugh, because I told him, I said, when Cindy first brought it up to me, it was with our second child, JL. I thought, yeah, this is kind of a hippie concept, these amber teasing necklaces and all this other stuff, but because we had a girl, I think that was probably a good start.
Probably.
And I just kind of let her do it, and then she said, well, we're going to do that with our next child, which was Titus, our son. And I thought, I don't know, not too that guy in me, right? A necklace on her son. Well, she was able to find one that looked pretty neat. It was
he looked like a little surfer boy.
Yeah, he did. He looked like a surfer, because he was a little
thick.
more rock-like, right? But the funny thing is it was with him that he had gone through and got some teeth, and then his necklace broke, and then he became an absolute bear. We just couldn't deal with him. I'm like, order another one right now. And so ever since then, I became convinced that it did actually do something, just the soothing oils in it. And I've become an advocate. And every time I have a coworker or a friend or someone who's new to having a child that's teething, and they're talking about not sleeping and how miserable their kid is, I say, hey, have you heard of amber teething? I still reference back to her and say, hey, can you send me a link so I can send to them? So it's been an interesting journey, because I wasn't in that mindset. I was in
I wasn't really either, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you said, the first thing that got us on that direction was going to see the naturopath for the eczema, and then it just kind of went really just snowballed at that point. But yeah, okay. What's the weirdest crunchy thing that I've done?
Weirdest?
Yeah, or
hardest to
adjust to maybe.
Adjust to. I think it came down to circumcision.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was the
we're jumping right in. I can't even believe you're bringing that up.
Well, I mean, it's a big thing, right?
It is.
We went the traditional route with our first son, and we had him circumcised. And I remember it was a very traumatic experience. It was just as traumatic for her as it was for Corbin. And getting into that, you don't question those things.
Well, we did. I did.
Oh, you did, yes.
I did, but the question that I asked, I very distinctly remember being in the doctor's office. I was like, why do we need to do this? And he said, because it reduces the chance of penile cancer.
Right.
And that made me be okay with that choice, because I trusted what my doctor had said, and penile cancer sounds really scary.
Right. Yeah. And, as someone that's the only thing that I know, then it's like, okay, that's what my son's going to do. It's just what everybody does. And then fast forward, and we're getting ready to have, we have another son, and you did more research. I think the thing that changed my mind in it wasn't so much the information about, the risk of penile cancer and all this other stuff. It simply came down to the idea of choice, and the idea that we take that choice away from our children was to me the biggest thing. Is and I'm not knocking anybody who chooses to do that.
How can we?
Right,
we had our
we
first
can't. Right, and
so
yeah. To me, what really kind of hit home for me was the idea that why not let him choose? Right? He can't choose when he's a young baby. Why not let him choose if that's something that he wants to do later down the road? It actually ends up being less traumatic experience, believe it or not. And it's a choice that he can. make that choice for him, that he can never get it back. And I think that was kind of what changed. And over time, more information has come out, and I think we as a society are starting to get away from pigeonholing ourselves into a certain mindset of this is the only way to do it. And I think that's good. We've really developed as a culture to be more naturally minded. I saw a comment recently that, I don't understand this term crunchy, and I don't understand this term natural. It's just whatever we do everyday life. Well, yeah, now, but 15 years ago, it wasn't so common. It wasn't so common where I remember when we chose to have a midwife with our second child, she got food poisoning, and we had while she was pregnant, and we had to go to the hospital, and she had to be admitted. And the next day when the doctor came in, never saw the doctor until that point to check us out. He came in and he told us that she was going to die in birth, and our child was going to die in birth.
He's like, I don't like to think about that. That was so true. Right. Who's your doctor? Oh, I have a midwife. Oh, you do know that you're going to die.
Right, and your child's going to die.
Blank.
Yeah, and then he charged us $300 to check us out, of the hospital.
Yeah.
But my point in bringing that up is now you have midwives and birthing centers that are integral parts of our hospitals. Now, today, that wasn't there 15 years ago. And so it's been a journey. It's been a journey for us, not only as a couple, but also as a society. And I've actually been pretty happy to see that we have gone that direction when it comes to raising children, taking care of our children, birthing our children. And so it's been like I said, an interesting journey for me, and it's really helped me to grow and mature instead of just thinking of these things as,
it is
part of a commune out with a bunch of hippies who are out protesting the war type of thing, right? The summer of love, it goes beyond that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so yeah, that's probably enough for now. It's getting
pretty long.
Long.
Thank you so much for diving right in. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to hear Josh and his thoughts about being a hippie.